Hey Louise, here's my instructions for week 8. Sorry, I'm a little late in getting this to you and uploaded. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on Saturday. So the first thing I want to do is maybe just check in with where we're at on the project. So you are almost completely done with the STEM unit. You're going to be turning in your final unit plans a week from Sunday. And we'll be doing some work on them in class this coming week. So make sure to bring copies, electronic copies of those lesson plans so we can address a couple of sections in class. And we'll talk about what we're going to do in class in just a minute. So all the yellow is all the projects, parts of the projects that you've completed and have been graded, and the gray areas are what's due this week. So we're really close to being done. A couple more weeks. So the first thing due this week is you're going to do a presentation on the new technology that you actually committed to using. And so you chose citizen science, and we're going to have to tweak it a little because you didn't actually use that or incorporate that in your STEM unit since you'd already done the STEM unit. So you'll have to talk about it differently, but that's okay. So what you're going to do is you actually have two parts to this project, and so I have included the instructions. So if we look at part B, the technology presentation, so there's a paper part of this that you're doing in addition to doing the research. So wait a minute. Hi, Louise. Here's my instructions for week 8. So coming up on our class meeting for Saturday, you'll be doing a couple of assignments to get prepared for that class meeting. First of all, I want to take a look at just where we're at in terms of the project. So quite a bit of this is done, as you can see. All the yellow highlighted areas are parts of the projects that you've completed. The gray highlighted ones are projects that will be due this week. So you do have a couple of things that are due this week, and I'll go over those. It's the new technology presentation and paper, and then you're going to do some in-class activities that we're going to talk about in terms of bringing those materials so you have an opportunity. Hi, Louise. Here's our information for week 8 in terms of what you need to complete before coming to class on Tuesday. And there are a couple of things we're going to use in class, so I'll need to make sure that you have those, or you'll need to make sure you have those completed. So the good news is you've already completed all of these highlighted in yellow parts of the projects, and we're down to just a few gray this week and then a couple white for the final week. So we're getting close to the end. So this week, the to-do list shows you what you need to complete. So for technology, for your technology project, you're going to actually present your topic, which was the citizen science, in class on Saturday. In addition to that, you need to complete a one-page information sheet that highlights the pros and cons of your technology and using it in the classroom. So that's the paper part of this project, this final piece, and then you'll actually present it, or we'll talk about it. You'll present it to me in class on Saturday. So there is a rubric that identifies the scoring for that. So keep in mind that that I will use that to grade your project and your presentation. So some of these are, hey Luis, welcome to week 8. We're sprinting to the finish line. Quite a bit of work to do this week before we meet in class on Saturday. So hopefully you're feeling better and energized and get some of this done. So the good news is, looking at our project list, you've completed most of the projects components are ready, and so we're just finishing up with the last couple you can see in gray. That's the things that are going to be worked on this week and due by this uh, weekend before class, so I'll go over those, but it's mostly yellow, which is a good sign. It should give you some hope that this is coming to a close. So let's talk about, so for technology this week, you're going to finish up the technology project, which is you're going to do a 10-minute presentation on in class on Saturday about the technology you chose, which I believe was citizen science. And so you should have a one-page kind of information sheet that outlines the pros and cons of that technology using specific examples of uh, experiences that you had in the classroom with the technology. So there is a rubric that will be used to evaluate that project, and that's in the assignment, so take a look at that. This project is worth 50 points, so you want to make sure that you get that information page done and able to hand that in when you do your presentation. So it'll be a presentation. It'll be very informal with just the two of us. So that is actually listed here as technology part B. So that will wrap up the technology project, and you'll be done with that. Hopefully you found some value in that and got to try out some new technology. So I know it wasn't actually incorporated in your STEM unit, and that's okay. We modified that for you for this term. So your equity and controversial science project. So you did a great job on the resources and filling out the chart in terms of strategies. And so we're going to take a look at that chart, and you're going to choose some strategies that you could then add into your STEM unit plans. So thinking about if you were to teach this again in the future, and you hadn't already taught this, how could you address some of your students' individual needs? And we'll talk about how and where those go in your lesson plans. Same thing with your STEM unit. So although this looks like, do I have a new version of this? I think I have the wrong list up. There we go. Maybe I didn't modify it. God damn it. Hey, Louise, here's my instructions for week 8. Sorry to be a little bit late getting to this up on Moodle. Lot to do coming up for the class on Saturday and to get prepared for that. So good news is looking at the project list and components, you've completed almost everything. It's all in yellow, those assignments that are done and graded. We have some in gray that are going to be worked on this week for the class on Saturday, and then the white ones are the ones that we'll be finishing up with the following week. So getting very close. So, however, that does mean we have a lot to do to get finished up. So, for technology this week, you're going to be presenting your technology in class. So, that's the citizen science technology you chose to explore. And you'll need to create a one-page information handout that covers kind of a description of your technology, the pros and cons of using it in your classroom. I would suggest that you use specific evidence of your using it in the classroom and how that worked out on the information sheet. So there's a rubric that details how I'll be grading that in terms of the information sheet and the presentation. So again, it'll just be you and me, so it'll be pretty informal. You'll just kind of talk about how it went and what you found was beneficial, what were the cons of doing citizen science. So that will wrap up the technology project, and we'll be done with that one. And then, so moving on to the equity project. So now that you have your list of resources and research and strategies, we're going to take some of those strategies and apply them to your lesson plans for your STEM unit. So how could you better address equity in terms of that population, your students with learning disabilities? And so using some of those strategies will actually figure out how to apply those in your lesson plans. We'll also introduce the controversial subject topic, which will be worked on starting next week. So, And then for your STEM unit, you're going to bring a copy of your lesson plans. In class, you're going to do a couple of things. So we're going to address a few of the actual additional components. So looking at IEPs and 504s and how to address those in your lesson plan specifically. And then how you integrated math and literacy we're going to look at in terms of those this week, and then also the equity strategies. So we're going to be doing some adding to that and some feedback, and then you're actually going to do a self-assessment using a checklist of STEM components and see how well you actually hit all of the components of good STEM education. So you'll do that in class. And then finally, for assessment and instruction, so again, we're going to be modifying your lesson plans to incorporate more specific information on your individual students and how to address that using strategies. And then I would like you to bring 3 samples of student work that we're going to use in class to analyze. So this would be students' work from your STEM lesson. So I know you did videos. You can bring that if you want to do an analysis of 3 student videos, or if they did lab reports on those, you could bring those. So we're going to take a look at those and see what can we learn from our students' work and how do we take that information to inform instruction. So that is our tasks for this week. Let me just looking at the list here. So student work is the 3 student work samples. Again, we're going to talk about the math and literacy and how to make that specific in your lesson plans. We're going to talk about the equity context strategies. So how do we include those in our lesson plans, and then your technology presentation. And then we'll cover the last couple of those in class and what to do for those for the next week. So that is what we're going to be doing, and I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to spending some time face-to-face. There is an agenda up for our class if you want to take a look at that on Moodle to see what you have to look forward to. And so I'll see you on Saturday. Please let me know, and we'll chat again Thursday if you have any questions prior to heading to class. So have a good week and hope you're feeling better.